just happened, but we're. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Now That's Debatable with myself, Sidney Smith, Mr. Dion Curry. A little bit of a choppy intro there. I'm not quite sure what the hell just happened, but it happened. So we are here. Another Monday. I'm happy to say I am not hungover from St. Patty's Day. So that is a nice thing. Nice turn of about on things there. Dion, brother, what's good, man?
Happy Monday to you, my friend. I too am not hungover from St. Patrick's Day. I can't remember the last time I celebrated St. Patrick's Day, but it's been a minute. But it did snow today, so
What?
there's that.
It's
Yeah, it
it,
snowed.
what is it? March, right?
Yeah,
Does
March
does Indiana
17th,
does Indiana know it's
18th.
March?
Well, you know the Midwest, how we get down here. Our weather smokes meth. So
That's why I got the hell
it
out of
was
town.
70 degrees earlier in the week, and now it's snowing today. So there you go.
Well, we got a good show lined up for you guys, man. Before we jump into that, I want to ask Dion real quick. We talked about it earlier, Dion, but what you got coming up, bro? Let the people out there who may be in the areas you're going to be jumping on stage.
I'll be doing the Anderson Comedy Zone on Friday, the 29th, in Anderson at the Paramount Theater. So tickets will go on or are on sale for that, I should say. $10. I will link the ticket link in the group after the show.
Excellent, excellent. And for you folks out there, if you are in the areas that you're going to see Dion jumping off into, I strongly suggest you go out, check it out. The dude is absolutely hilarious. You don't want to miss it at all if you can help it. If you can help it. If you can
Thank you,
help it, we
sir.
get it. But if you can help it, got to be there. Got to be there. Michelle Martin is on with us. Says happy Monday. Happy Monday to you, Michelle. Mary is with us. Says hi, guys. Hello, Mary. Shout out to all of our master debaters that are on with us now. We hope more would jump on as we stay on right now. For the people who are with us, go ahead and click that share button right now and help us out with that there. I put this hoodie on, and I'm starting to feel a little warm under this light here right now. But we're gonna keep
Need
the
some of this Midwest snow to keep
you
you
know
cool?
you know it's crazy, and I'm drinking coffee, so I don't know what's going on with me today. I must be in the Midwest kind of mood. Facebook user
Are you a,
says, "Hey guys, what's up?
That's Courtney Ross. Hey, Courtney, do you
What's
like
up, Courtney?"
cold coffee? Are you a cold coffee drinker?
You mean like if I let coffee sit and drink it, or would I go get it, or will I go
Well,
get cold
ice in
coffee?
it.
Oh,
Well,
every
you
once in a while, but I feel like I don't do it, and this is going to be a weird thing for people who don't know me. I'm kind of frugal, and I feel like Starbucks is probably cheating me out of some coffee whenever I get it iced. So it's not very seldom I will get iced coffee from Starbucks because I refuse. You're already charging me $6, $7 for it, which fine, I get it, I'll pay it, but I'm not gonna let you cheat me out of my coffee by putting the assload of ice in it.
I think iced coffee is disgusting. I don't know how people drink it. Serving it hot and then trying it cold, ugh. Letting it sit, let alone putting ice in it to water it down, just has never been good to me. I don't understand
Tamara
people who
likes
do
to get
that.
her coffee iced when we go. It's weird because Tamara will drink her coffee hot at home, but if we go to Starbucks, I guarantee you, 8 times out of 10, she's gonna order it iced every time if she
Does
gets
iced
coffee.
coffee have different laxative properties than warm coffee?
I don't know. I don't know. Thank you, Mary. Mary says she's already shared it. Mary, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it. Oh, this has got to be Slim or Anthony in here right now. It says, "What up, though? What up, though, bro? Thanks for jumping in."
That's slim, I think.
Okay. Michelle Martin says, "Mary Ballard, so right." Yep, saying you don't want to miss Dion. So Mary and Michelle letting folks out there who, if you're not catching it now, you catch it later. You don't want to miss Dion. You definitely want to see him.
Thank you,
Face,
guys.
and Facebook user says, "I think all coffee is disgusting." I think all
That's
cheap
Courtney.
coffee is disgusting, Courtney. Cheap. Do not bring me any cheap old coffee. Some Folgers Crystals. I will. I
I
will.
tell
I will
you
pour it
what,
on your shoes.
when you're cold, coffee's fantastic. I don't care what anybody says. If you are freezing, you can drink it straight black out for fresh out the little the what do you call it? The grinder. No sugar, no cream, nothing. Just straight regular cheap black coffee. If you cold, that shit is phenomenal.
You
I used
take
to
it.
work in a warehouse we had to move all this gymnastics equipment in the wintertime, and there was no heating in there. Those mats were cold, the pallet jacks were freezing, everything in there was cold. She brought out that coffee, man, made that shitty job worth it.
Someone here has jumped on. This has got to be Courtney again. Says Team T.
No, that's Demetria Baker.
Oh, Demetria, what's good, Demetria? Thank you for jumping in. We're happy to have you again. Hot chocolate for the win. That you know what, Mary? I do like a nice hot, warm cup of cocoa. That's why sometimes I would get myself the peppermint mocha. I would go to get myself a peppermint mocha at Starbucks. How dare you, sir? How dare you shame me? How dare you shame me?
I have a peppermint mocha,
We are
one marshmallow, please.
the upper crust would not allow ourselves to be shamed.
The upper crust. Well, excuse us underground dwellers.
You folks who are just merely, you guys are the shit you shake out the toaster. Okay, after we
Wow.
we will not allow you Folger drinkers to shame us.
Who knew you were so aggressive over hot cocoa?
Well, the minute you start saying it like that, cuckoo. Mary says Swiss Miss peppermint cake cups a must. Michelle says coffee's okay, but coffee breath, that's just nasty. Well, Michelle, you pop a mint. That's okay. That's all you got to do. No one said drink coffee, then make out, Michelle.
That's why I have a peppermint mocha hot chocolate for the freshness of the peppermint.
You toaster shaving.
This man, this man's been cuckoo. I'll be a toaster shaving
You
as long as I never have to hear you say that again.
you toaster shaving. I would not allow you to speak to me this way. Security. All
Too
right.
funny.
All right, folks, we got a good show lined up. We think it's a good show. We think this will get you guys going too. Dion and I were discussing it in our pre-show. So we're going to start off with a little Pornhub talk. And before we get there, let's all just agree we're adults and agree that we all have watched porn at least once. And probably all of us, except for maybe a very small percentage, do not have Pornhub somewhere secretly saved on our cell phones as we speak right now. so, so let's just go ahead and be adults about this. But that seems to be the problem in Texas, where the folks who run that state have decided that in order to use porn, and Pornhub is pulled out because of this. In order to use Pornhub, you must put in your official government ID information to show proof of age in order to view Pornhub in this great state of Texas.
You know, they say everything's bigger in Texas, and unfortunately, so are the obstacles to get your rocks off now that you gotta put in.
I can see why you wanted to start with this topic first. You wrote that down, been saving that up for all day long.
Said, baby, I think I left my ID at the bar. How am I gonna beat my meat? And they don't open again until next Saturday.
All I thought about was everybody's gonna be pulling their old VCRs out the garage now. Old VCR cassettes. It was back to the old
Allergies
school.
kicked up 200% as hundreds of Texans take to the garages to dust off their VCR.
The other report is many people have taken the day off from work because now they must stay home to watch their porn because they cannot just watch it in privacy of the employer's bathroom on break.
Pornhub is not a very user-friendly website, to say the least. I think it's clunky. I don't like the way it's set up. Obviously, it's got a huge category, but yeah, it's. I don't understand why people would pay for porn when there's so many different types of websites out there that you can get it for free. Losing access to the most popular one, I'm sure, will upset a few Lone Star folks, but there are dozens
Plenty.
of different options out there. So it's not like you won't have access to it. So
Yeah, Pornhub is just the largest one out there, at least the one that everyone knows about. But the fact that, and we know what this was about. This was just another way for those state officials to go after, to look as if they're against something. Uh, um, and to your point, you're not putting this on everyone. You're not out here. There's better ways to protect the children of Texas, as opposed to saying you must have a state identification. And who wants to put their information in there? You know damn well no one's putting their state ID information into a porn site. One, you don't want to get hacked and have your shit taken and used for illegal things. But two, who David Joe Blow does not want anyone to find out he enjoys watching, two midgets and Asians having sex or something along those lines. You just can't
That
take
that
that chance.
I said I don't want to put my ID in because I don't want them to see my search history.
There's a reason why Apple created that incognito way of surfing the internet on your phone.
What do you mean?
They have an option so you can go on there and you can be incognito, and they just can't go and pull up or just see whatever you've been searching or whatever.
Whatever do you mean with this incognito?
It's been a thing forever. Apple has always been more on the private
No, I know
side of
exactly.
things.
I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
yeah. Like, what are you talking
It's
about?
just the way you said incognito reminded me of hot cocoa, and maybe that was a upper crust.
Uh, well, at least you know upper crust when you hear it. So that's the important thing. You
Do you think this type of restriction will get across the point that they're trying to make to protect quote unquote people from themselves? I don't particularly think that this banning one particular website, mostly because it's the most popular and the largest, I don't think it achieves the overall goal that they're trying to get here, which is I don't even really know what the overall goal is. I mean, banning one and not banning all of them just seems pointless to me.
I don't I don't think anything that the Republicans do in Texas is for the safety or for the welfare of the people who live in Texas. I think we can go way, way, way back, but I'll go back to the first thing that came to my mind when you had Senator Ted Cruz taking off leaving Texas to go on vacation to a much warmer climate when the great people of Texas and who he's supposed to represent were going to still be stuck there in the freezing fucking cold. I think a lot of things that Greg Abbott does is all for show, along with a lot of the folks there. So no, I don't think this gets anything across. Or again, all you do is have Pornhub pull out of there, and you upset adults who would like to be able to use Pornhub. You're not saving anything. You're not saving kids. You're not doing anything. If you were that concerned, in my opinion, maybe you do something to here's maybe a suggestion. Maybe you do something where you party or you join up with the federal government and you limit human trafficking across the border of Texas and things of that nature, where they bring them over and put them into and make them work off that debt through prostitution, so on and so forth, to keep adults from watch or kids for that matter. You're not going to keep porn out of the hands of kids. That's never been a thing that you've been able to do. Uh, Generations before me, including my generation, proved to you we would go cross-eyed to look at scrambled porn back in the day. So you are not going to save that at all. And I think this is just another facade of them trying to pretend like they're trying to do something for the public.
I don't know any adults who saw their first pornographic images as adults. All my friends saw their first pornographic images when we were kids. So this idea that banning it somehow is going to save kids from watching it, nah, I just don't see it happening. Especially when you don't ban all of them. Even teaming up with the federal government to stop trafficking. Like, I mean, as great as that sounds, I want to know how this particular bill gets pushed across before you talk about things like that. They claim it's a border crisis, so why are you focusing on like this should have never came to vote, let alone to being passed, because it's so irrelevant to what's actually happening in the state. Like stopping people from watching one particular website when you have all these other problems, you got the governor shipping people across country like their FedEx packages, and they find a way to get this bill through. So it to me it reeks of Texas being Texas.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
and
priorities. I mean, you spoke about Ted Cruz dipping out. I mean, just the whole priority of, they still haven't fixed that grid problem.
hmm
So
hmm
to be
which
worried about Pornhub is kind of ridiculous.
which goes to someone's point here. You tell me the name. I'm sure. Facebook user says it's so performative, and that is a great word when you're talking about Texas Republicans right now. Is it
Courtney. Mm-hmm.
Courtney? Courtney, you are right. That is a great way to put it. When you look at, excuse me, Governor Abbott late last year, early this year, sending the National Guard down to the border to make sure that this won't happen, refusing to let federal agents and whatnot come in and do their own checks of the border, to keep pushing this story of illegals coming across and committing all of these crimes. So we need to, as you were putting it, ship them, here, there, and everywhere. When all of the numbers that we have seen would suggest that the majority of those people who are coming across are law-abiding citizens. That a lot of the crimes that are still being perpetrated in this country are by born national citizens of this country. So great word, Courtney. I love it. It's yes, again, it's just so performative, to just appear as if we're doing something. Like I know a lot of politicians do that. Very few of them are in it to do any work at all. But Texas, for some reason, I don't know if because they try to keep themselves in the spotlight, they just seem to take this above and beyond at times.
Well, I mean, the performative aspect of it, I would agree with you. But being in Texas, they always love to make things a spectacle. I mean, look at the Bushes. I mean, they were clowns, and then they became president and became even bigger clowns. Ted Cruz is a huge clown, and every chance he gets, he finds a way to make himself even dumber. Like I don't know how he keeps getting reelected. Like, I don't even know
I'm with you. I am
any.
baffled by that too.
I don't know anybody who likes him, and I know a bunch of people who live in Texas, and some of them are Republicans, and they don't like him.
I
So
don't know how we get
it's
to.
one. I really don't, and this this banning, like, it's the same thing with books. Like you try to keep these materials out of people's hands, and it just forces. I mean, we learned that with prohibition how many years ago. You can't outlaw something, so you tax it. I don't. Where's this huge outcry from people in Texas that Pornhub is ruining their lives? I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, when I saw the story pop up, that's the first thing I thought. I was like, I'm sorry, where's this huge crowd of people saying how where's the commercials that come on at 2 o'clock in the morning where you have this white dude he has no more palms. All of everything's gone. He's
Are
I
you
know,
tired of being Harriet Nubman?
we got the music playing in the background. In the arms of an angel. Where is the outcry? And I was thinking the same thing when that came about. Facebook user says they peddle to the folks that lack the capacity to think critically.
Roxy.
Roxy, you know what, Roxy? Another good one. I was talking with a friend about today. We were talking about, not to get too far away from it, but we were talking about Trump. And he thinks there's still a chance that Trump could win. I don't think there's a chance in hell that Donald Trump will win this election. I just don't. Color me completely surprised if the dude ends up back in the White House. But I don't think there's a fucking opportunity. And I think he slit his own political throat with taking credit for getting rid of abortion. And he continues to stand on that, and amongst other things, he continues to stand on and say, and so on and so forth. Sorry, I was looking at something here.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, mark my words right here. I will not be shocked if he
Completely shocked.
wins,
Completely shocked.
because I'm expecting him to win. To be honest with you, because I don't trust the system anymore. I don't think Joe Biden wants to be president, and I think Donald Trump will literally murder to become president again, so
I
that
think
he doesn't have to deal with any of the financial problems that he's dealing with.
I think
If
if he
he
thought he
becomes president, all that shit will go away, and He'll
Yeah,
die in the White House.
yeah, and I think he would, if he could get away with it, he would to get back in 100%. I don't think he can do it or get away with it. I am not so that Biden doesn't want to be in the White House again. I think that old dude 100% wants to run again, obviously, and win again. And I would like to know why you think he doesn't want to win again.
I don't think he wants to be president. I think the man is tired of people talking shit about him every day. I think he's tired of having to be on his P's and Q's. I think to me he just seems like a worn out old man who has done enough for the country, if you even believe that he doesn't he did he, I think the only reason he's running is because he doesn't want Trump to win. And so long as he's alive and he feels like he can beat him, he'll do it.
I don't think that's the only. I think Joe Biden has always had his eyes on the White House. I think this his timing was never more perfect for himself than it was almost 4 years ago. And I do think he will win again. But we will see. Mary here says, I agree with Dion. Trump is going to win. I disagree with you both. Well, I disagree with Mary strongly because she came out and said he is going to win. I disagree with you because you haven't said guaranteeing that he's winning, but you think that he can.
No, I said I won't be shocked if he does.
Facebook user here says, I overheard two women having a detailed conversation about Joe Biden was a robot yesterday. I hope they meant to say Joe Biden and just accidentally typed in Ho. But
Yeah, yeah.
I s-
It was Roxy.
says about Joe Biden was a robot yesterday. I just about choked. If he's a robot, then we're in the Stone Age because that's the simplest robot that has ever existed. Well, it does take these people. Roxy, Dion, you jump on this after if you want, but having Trump and Joe Biden running and being the two leaders of these two parties, our two major parties, if you have conversations with people or just listen to people, it is entertaining to just hear the thoughts that people actually have in their minds and they express amongst each other. And the fact that you could find, and I'm not surprised that somehow, some way, there are two women someplace who would have a conversation about Joe Biden being a robot is absolutely incredible to me.
I mean, I live in Indiana. People love to say, "Let's go, Brandon." Here, so I've heard a lot of people complain about Joe's mental decline, if you will. But I'm like, I would take that criticism if you didn't have tattoos of your Fuhrer on your body, and if you didn't cut out the pence of the Trump 2020 flag. Like, I would hear your argument. But these people, man, they just, for whatever reason, they see Joe Biden trip down some stairs and they forget that their guy is right on his heels when it comes to age and cognitive ability, if he isn't suffering just as equally.
Susan Glasser, and I was watching the news this morning, that's where I first saw this. Rich, I see what you're saying there. Rich says, I don't need Uber, but porn is a necessity. So we go get there. We go get to that other story in a minute, Rich. It is, Susan Glasser wrote this article, she wrote this column, and she said, what you need to do if you can, and what she wanted more people to have an opportunity. Now, obviously, you would need to go to one, but she went to a rally, a Trump rally, and she watched it from front to back. And she said just the clips of him saying this or saying that, the 2 or 3 minute sound bites we get. She said that's not enough. You need to see an entire rally to get the full package that this man is as old and as not lucid as you want to say Joe Biden is. But because Joe Biden tripping on a curb, or they talk about how he fell off a bicycle, or the old shuffle walk that he has, that gets highlighted so much more as him just being an old man. I think, and I do blame this on the media because they spotlight that as if that's all because he's an old, elderly man. While Trump, when he says the shit he says, that's just Trump being Trump, and isn't that entertaining? And they just kind of move along with the story, as opposed to the discussions that you and I have been having. They're both two old ass dudes. I don't know why you guys act like Trump is 30 years younger than Joe Biden. He's 3. That is it. he's late 70s. And I don't even care about their age because to me, they're like anybody's old fucking grandfather.
Well, I have a hard time believing that this is the best America could come up with, Republican or Democrat, but
Best
here
money can
we
buy.
are. And, I hear Trump talking. He's he, he's never been an orator, if you will. He says a lot of shit, but he doesn't say anything. And Joe Biden seems to forget what he talks about half the time now. And this is where we are. Unfortunately, one of these old motherfuckers is going to be in charge for another 4 years. And have you heard who Trump is going to take as his running mate? Has he decided yet?
No, he hasn't decided yet, but Tim Scott may be leading the way because I ain't seen a black man coon this hard, boy, since.
That comic we heard about a few weeks ago.
Yes, I mean the the interview I saw him do last week. This dude is just cooning it up. All he needed was a fiddle, and to be sitting off in the field someplace. He is just horrible. So he may be leading the way. I heard there's some talk that he may try to bring a woman on board because they need that female vote. So they might find themselves a white woman to put on there because they're gonna need that vote. But I don't even know who he would even pick. There was talk about Katie Britt, but she shit the bed with that whole rebuttal to the State of the
She pulled
Union.
a Howard Dean.
Yeah, yay!
Yeah.
There's the South Dakota governor. I think she was another possibility, but there's supposed to be some allegations of her. One of them would be, I love this. She's been doing infomercials, so she's been doing these commercials where she's been showing all these love for these products, and people just thought she was just being a nice person. Come to find out, she's actually been getting a check for doing this. So she's she's got that going. I don't
A
know
paid
another.
spokesperson.
Yeah. And I don't know another female that they could put up. I think there was talk of gosh, I can't think of her name now. That damn Republican who's been bending over backwards for him out of New York that they gave that seat to a couple years ago. I can't think of her name at the top. Nancy Mace. Yeah, Nancy Mace is another one who's been sucking up for that role as well, but not been doing a good job at it. She got her ass beat by George Stephanopoulos pretty good about a week ago. Mary Ballard was very kind enough to share that clip with Dion and myself, where she is a survivor of rape. And George asked, "Well, do you?" And I'm paraphrasing. How do you support Trump, someone who has had those allegations and had to go to court for them and have been found guilty? How do you, as a survivor of rape, still go ahead and push for this man? So I, I don't know who he's going to get, but there's been talk of it. Maybe if Tim Scott powders his fucking face and throws a wig on, he can do it.
Well, you maybe get Tim Scott's temporary girlfriend. That white lady he hired to
He
walk
just
out
got
there with
married.
him.
They just got married.
They got married.
They
Oh,
got
so
married.
they are together for real.
They got married. And Donald Trump goes, yeah, Tim Scott got married. Who knew? We thought it would never happen. He's up here talking like him and Tim have been friends for 30. We thought it would never happen. You know who ain't married? Kelsey Grammer. Not Kelsey Grammer. Lindsey Grammer.
Is it Kelsey?
No,
Is it
Lindsey.
Kelsey? Or
Lindsey.
Chelsea? Chelsea?
Lindsey
Is it
Graham.
Kelsey Carter? Kelsey Graham? Who you think you kidnapped? Kelsey Clinton?
Let me go to some comments over here real quick. Thank you guys for watching this show again this week. Bruce, Mary, Courtney. Who am I missing? Michelle, Roxy. Someone says here exactly how is
Demetria.
Demetria. How is this the choice again? These are the best two candidates that money can buy. That is how these are our candidates. Well, is it an indictment on America that this is who we keep choosing, or let me give you this other option. You may still shake your head, or is it an indictment on both of these parties for not having someone else ready to go?
It's an indictment on America because we all know how the parties work. They screwed over Bernie Sanders. He would have been he would have been the best choice at the time that he ran, but they picked Hillary, and then she lost. And so, what happened after she lost? Democrats went to scramble mode, rebrand, and they kind of let they gave Trump enough rope to hang himself with the whole insurrection thing and fake election. And but Joe Biden is the Trump band-aid. And once both of these two cancers, if you will, go away, there's going to be a huge void for people looking for power. You're going to get your DeSantis's and your Tim Scotts and your AOCs and
Gavin Newsom out of
Gavin
California,
Newsom. Yeah, yeah. So you're going to have
Whitaker possibly out of Michigan.
yeah, you're going to have this little weird get to know period of the kind of the new crop. We'll see who the establishment pushes out for both sides. But I think it'll be really interesting because these two are super polarizing figures, whereas everybody else isn't really. They don't have the stench of these two candidates on them.
I think that's, and I think you're making a great point because it will be a time. This is, and you know what? This may be one of the beauties of both these two old men running, is that once this is said and done, Joe Biden goes away. I don't think Trump is going to win, so this is the way I'm putting it. Trump goes away. Excuse me, and then both parties have to reset. And your hope is with the reset, both of these parties do what they had done up to the last 8 years or so, and both slide a little bit closer to the middle, if they're able to. I think the Democrats will be able to because Joe Biden wants to stay there. So I think that's an easier trip for the Democratic Party. I think that is a much longer and harder trip for the Republicans if they continue to let those far right groups keep control and hold them hostage as they have over the last couple of years. But I do think this is an opportunity for both of them to slide a little closer to the middle and to try to get that fight going for middle America again, like they had been for so many years.
I think the right's problem is going to be the the fervor they have for their candidate once he's no longer a viable option, once he's out of the picture, they're going to lose all that fervor. There's not going to be a 75 million swelling of Republican votes once whoever they put out in front is their new candidate. They're not going to have the charisma that that guy had. They're not going to have the message that that guy had. So they're going to lose even more votes that way just because they haven't prepared at all for any type of ascent of someone outside of him.
You just brought up something else that made me think. I want to hear from you guys too, the master debaters out there, Mary, Bruce. I just listed the ones that I know that are out there: Mary, Bruce, Michelle, Courtney, Roxy, Demetria, so on and so forth. Here's something I think that the Republican Party will have to deal with, that the Democratic Party had to deal with after they lost Barack Obama. Not that Trump is the orator that Barack Obama is, and not even the politician. But you're right. This dude has had more charisma and charm than any Republican politician probably since Reagan, if you can believe that. While Barack Obama was probably the most in terms of that since JFK for the Democrats. And it took them that long to go from JFK to get to Barack, if you're talking about that type of thing. And they seem to have kind of had some trouble getting through that since Barack left office. And I think that's one of the things that people spotlight so much about Joe Biden, because I think people still remember, even before Barack Obama, maybe even Bill Clinton. I guess you can even maybe put in that same vein to a certain extent. And so they seem to have had a problem getting over that. Joe Biden, and I'm gonna let people know this who've not followed politics for longer than the last 4 to 8 years. Joe Biden has never been a good speaker, ever. He's never been a good one to whether you put him on a stage and have him do a speech that you've already prepared him for, or you put him out there in front of a bunch of reporters and just say, "Hey man, just answer some questions." He's never been the greatest at that. He's always put his foot in his mouth. So the fact that people think that this is a new thing because he's 81 years old, this would have been Joe Biden at 31, at 41, at 51. This isn't new. This is the way it always has been. But I do think you're right that the Republicans are going to have to struggle to find someone else that they can put out front who has the charm and the charisma that Donald Trump has displayed for them.
Well, their problem is the policies that they wanted pushed are, I mean, they've pretty much gotten them already. And so, once this power vacuum goes away with Biden and Trump, you know, what is their policy, that what's the big push that they're going to be making, and who's going to be the face of that push? I mean, you got your Marjorie Taylor Greens, Lauren Boebert done lost her spot, so she's out of the way. But you still got guys like Stephen Miller and Glenn Beck and Steve Bannon plotting up all these little weird far right schemes, but you don't really have anybody in the forefront. There's no new, 30, 40-year old Paul Ryan type of guy, who can just come in and be like, you know what, I'm a little less crazy than him, but I'm still, I still, there's no Diet Coke.
Well,
If Trump,
and that's why I'm interested in seeing what these two parties do to slide themselves back a little closer to the middle, because the Republicans have got to figure this out after Trump is gone, and he's going to be gone eventually, whether for one reason or another. How do you slide back closer to the middle? Because if you do not, you are going to continue to lose and lose and lose and lose. That little segment on the far, far right will not carry you through elections, not your local elections and not any federal elections either. You just can't stay out there for the rest of your eternity.
their most popular candidate is, for some reason, still in this race, even though she got decimated in all the primaries. Nikki Haley, she's gonna be the front runner, and unfortunately, she's hated within her own group because his supporters don't like her, and she's done nothing to ingratiate herself with them. But they're gonna have to come back to the fold because there's never gonna be another MAGA. There's never going to be anybody as wild and as crazy as Trump and as popular as him. I don't care. DeSantis tried it, and he saw that he wasn't really good at it. What's his name? Vivek
Oh,
Ramaswamy. He can't overcome his skin and his name, so he doesn't really have a chance.
and not to mention, nothing he says makes sense, and he tries to reach as far right as he can just to pull some shit back and say it. And I don't believe he's. If there's anyone that I do not believe believes half the shit he says, it will be Vivek.
Yeah, I mean he's a swindler. I mean that's how he got rich. He inflated his stock, sold it, and then left those people holding the bag, and that's where he got his money. So
All right, let me look here some comments before we get to our next topic here. Mary Ballard sends in Robert Kennedy Jr. is just as old and off his rocker too, 100%. I look forward to him and Aaron Rodgers at the debates. This will be great. The best thing that happened last week for me as a person from Detroit who roots for the Lions and hates the Packers was to hear the things that came out about Aaron Rodgers thinking that Sandy Hook was faked, and so was 9/11. This dude is out of his gourd, and I look forward to him retiring from football and still wanting to suck on the marrow of popularity and fame and whatever he has to do for him to be out there like the My Pillow dude, just out here just running wild, doing shit and saying shit. I look forward to those days of Aaron Rodgers. Can't wait.
I have never seen someone shit on their legacy as much as he has with his ayahuasca dark room weirdo conspiracies. Why you would want to tackle on Sandy Hook when you
And
literally
9/11.
got hurt? I'll give you the 9/11 because I don't believe 9/11 just happened by some dude in a cave. I don't believe that for a second. But the Sandy Hook thing has been proven. Alex Jones lost millions because of it, and there's no reason to attach yourself to that horse whatsoever. You first of all, your football career hasn't gone the way you wanted it to. You're probably the most talented but least winning of all the great
Yeah,
quarterbacks.
yeah, overrated.
So it's sad because I used to really like Aaron Rodgers. Back when I played fantasy football, he was one of the first quarterbacks I ever drafted. And I was a huge fan of him because he won me a bunch of games. But over the years, it's one thing to have an opinion, and it's one thing to, I'm going to question some things. But to say some of the stupid things that he said, and then the whole lying about getting the vaccine. Like you don't need, just say you didn't get it. There's no need to lie. Say you don't believe in it and stand on that. But to be this weirdo, you know, I never said I didn't get it. I didn't. Like to play coy with those rules is it's just it's a douchey thing to do, and that's what he's become. He's become like this weirdo hippie frat douche, and he hasn't won enough for it to be cool.
He's the he's the guy, and we've all been there. He's the guy who still comes back and goes to the high school parties after he graduated, so he could be the cool guy still on campus because he can't let that go. Or if
Mr.
you want,
Letterman jacket.
yes, or you want to take it to college, he's the guy who keeps coming back to the fraternity and trying to party. At all the at homecoming after homecoming games and all the, even though you graduated 10 years ago, you keep coming back here for these
Did
fun.
you step with my dad?
He's got the gray hair, but you know what? I'm gonna wear this cool ponytail too type. I'm like, let it go. If it wasn't for the fact that everyone who's met him and talks about him says that he's a very smart guy, and the school that he went to as well, I would say he's got to be the dumbest person who's got as much money as he has. But it's not that. The arrogance that he possesses is got to be second to none. To to be with someone who has identified themselves as a reporter, and to follow that up with Sandy Hook not being real, as if this will never be reported on by this person at some point in time before the end of time. How arrogant can you possibly be to do something like that? The people, you and I talk about this stuff all the time amongst ourselves. The things that we don't say on the show or we won't cover on the show because we are very aware of how that could follow us 10, 20, 30 years from now. We know that on this level. How do you, on that level, who's been in the public eye for your entire adulthood, how do you not have a better idea of what you should and should not be saying out here?
Well, I think he has fuck you money. So, at the end of the day, that's what it'll boil down to. He's comfortable saying what he says because he's got money that he doesn't have to worry about the consequences and repercussions of what he says and does. So there's that aspect of it. But it's one of those things like he's turned into like Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like you loved him as a kid and now you like, oh, this guy's just fucking he's sleazy and gross and just takes advantage of people for no reason. It's like, oh man, I thought you were saying your prayers and eating your vitamins, not doing steroids and screwing guys over in the locker room who don't make anywhere near as much money as you.
I just
So
love this big man.
yeah, it's that's the vibe that I get. He's
Yeah.
just got this sleazy aura about him, and a lot of it is the arrogance that he's good at football. But even that, I mean, he's not that good.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I want to make sure we touch on some of these. Bruce says Bill Clinton was the best president of the last 30 plus years, and I'm a conservative. Every president since has been corrupt as shit. Bruce, I would love to know why you thought Bill Clinton was the best president of the last 30 years. I would love to know your reasoning for that. Mary says, agreed, Biden was never a good speaker. Never. There's the stories out there that when Barack agreed to bring Biden onto the ticket, because Biden was not his first choice, part of that was, yeah, but you're going to have to be quiet. So, you just can't be out here speaking and saying your shit, because it was and I get it. Barack Obama understood the margins that he was playing within in order to be able to win that election. And he was not going to have Biden screw it up with one of his gaffes. Facebook user says, and I think the MAGA diehards don't actually follow policy. 100%. They do not.
Courtney,
Courtney, they do not understand policy. I've said that. We've said that. The way they vote against their own interest is absolutely amazing to me. These MAGA folks, absolutely amazing. Facebook user says Aaron looks like he stinks too. So
another great by Courtney.
if the things happen to your body as far as bodily fluids and release and things you don't have power over happen the way they do, you're probably right. Because I myself could not think I could do a drug where I just lose all sense of everything for as long as ayahuasca, whatever supposedly has you under that trance.
It's like 13, 14 hours, something like that.
I don't. I couldn't imagine that. It just not being. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road. Bruce says Clinton stayed as close to being a moderate as possible, and had the best economy we have had in a while. Bruce, I will say this: a lot of people say that about Clinton when it comes to the economy. Much like a quarterback, I think a president gets too much blame and too much credit when it comes to the economy. There's a lot of things that they can and they can't control. Certain things you can and can't control is what type of bills you pass in terms of who's going to save money on taxes, so on and so forth. So that thing is always a legit thing to blame and credit the president. But I don't. Again, I think they get too much blame and they get too much credit sometimes when it comes to the economy.
It seems like a happier time when he was in charge. You know, doing things that most presidents didn't do.
I'll tell you what it was. We were not as divided because if you look at the economy now under Biden, the economy is fucking great. The numbers are had the numbers that we've seen in the economy are numbers that we've never seen in 50 years. So that's including Clinton's economy. But the fact that we are so divided, no one can really see that as being what it was. You're correct, and Bruce is correct. Even Republicans, you sit if you get them in a quiet spot where no one can hear them, they'll say the years were great to me under Bill Clinton. That economy was fucking bananas good. Love it. And Democrats obviously would say the same thing. But that was such a different time that we were in. If you take Biden and what he has going right now with the economy and some of the policies put forth, and you set that in the same time period with Bill Clinton, it would be the same fucking thing. People would love it. Would love it. But in today's climate, you can't give credit to anybody for anything who's not on your side. Absolutely refuse. Absolutely
Well,
refuse.
I mean, if you take a long list, Joe Biden is the least charismatic president we've had since the first Bush, and Clinton was cool. George W. Bush was goofy. You just I say some things. Fool me, can't get fooled. Like he's a what I mean. He's just a lovable idiot.
That's my favorite quote
You know,
of his. Of his.
it's just like, and then Barack was the epitome of smooth and presidential. Just he was America's dad, and then you got Trump who it's just downright funny, whether he intends to be or doesn't. He says things fun. I remember the first debate against Hillary. He was like, "Cause you'd be in jail," and I was like, "This motherfucker gonna win!" Like he killed her with that one line, and he has been a superstar ever since. And then you get to Joe Biden, and he's falling asleep. He doesn't know where he's going. He's just not charismatic, and I think with the advent of social media and just how many people can express what they're feeling, you can see it in real time that Joe Biden, people don't ride for him because of who he is as a person. It's just, oh, he's getting these policies done because it's anti what the other side is doing. And that's the support that he has. To me, he's the nicotine patch, and Trump is the nicotine. It's like, we're trying to stop smoking, so we're going to put this patch on till we can kick this habit. Then we're going to rip this patch off and never use it again.
Well, you look at it, and we're going to move to our next topic here in a couple of minutes, folks. So stay with us. We're going to get to talking a little bit about Uber here, and what's happening in one of our American cities. If you look at it, and this is my opinion, you tell me if you agree or disagree. Without Joe Biden, I'm sorry, without Barack Obama, we don't have Donald Trump, and without Donald Trump, we don't have Joe Biden. I think each one of them is an extreme that came after what the country perceived as another extreme. I think you have Barack Obama in. I think some of the policies he pushed through and the way that it was painted by that far right of the Republican Party put certain people in this country in a tailspin thought of, oh my God, not me. I'm not going to let them, no way. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Black men in the White House can't have it. And that's where Trump kind of came in. Not to mention Hillary I think she just kind of shit the bed towards the tail end of that. A lot of different things there. Then you
Are
get
you
Trump.
kidding me? This is the biggest upset since Tyson Buster Douglas.
That's what
She
I'm
had
saying.
no business losing.
That's what I said. She shit the bed towards the tail end, especially. She had her ass in places she shouldn't have been, instead of being in places she should have been, like the Midwest. Then we get Trump, and then I think with Trump and all that everything that came with that, we have Biden, and this is where we are now. So I don't think personally anyone wants either one of these old dudes, but this is who we have, and you got to vote for somebody, and you have to decide who the hell it's going to be.
I tell you what, man, I don't think it's going to be anybody within the current realms, or at least as far as the Republican side of it. I don't see it being some politician. I see it as another entertainer, musician type athlete, somebody, not Herschel Walker shitty, but someone along those lines who could come in and just because of the popularity. I mean, if you really think about it, that's what Republicans are lacking is popularity. Outside of the MAGA cult, they are very unpopular to independents because of how they allowed their party to get taken over and the foolishness that's ensued.
Yeah, and yeah, it's definitely going to have to be. Again, I think that we'll find out if I'm right or if you're right or if any of you guys are right, or maybe we're all wrong. But I do think both parties, especially the Republican Party, in order to get some type of popularity, because they keep getting killed on the popular vote and have for quite some time, you're going to have to find someone who can come back to the middle closer, but be able to bridge everyone. Because right now there's too many different factions inside of the Republican Party. All right, folks. And again, to tie it all together, I think it was Courtney that put it. It's all performative on the Republican side,
Yes.
on both sides for sure. But those Republicans all performative, for everything from Marjorie Taylor Greene wearing that stupid fucking hat on her head during the State of the Union, to Ted Cruz, to the Speaker, Mike Johnson, all of them, all performative. All right, this is where Dion and I'm going to assume we're not going to agree on this at all. A few days ago, Minneapolis City Council decided to veto, I'm starting to say veto, but push past a bill past the mayor's veto and decide that Lyft and Uber should be paying equivalent to $15.75 an hour to their drivers. To Lyft and Uber said, fuck you, we'll just roll up out this bitch. Don't worry about it. We won't have to put any drivers down in your city here. It looks like there has been, I'm going to pull this back up here real quick and read from it. If I can, I'm looking at Fox Business here. I'm reading one paragraph. The ordinance, which faced fierce pushback from the rideshare industry, establishes a minimum driver pay of $1.40 per mile, 51 cent per minute, or a minimum of $5 per trip, whichever is greater. The city council's goal over the past 18 months has been to ensure that drivers' rates are equivalent to the local minimum wage, which rose to $15.57 in January, per hour in January. So this is where we kind of sit with this. Dion, Lyft and Uber said they're going to pull out of the city of Minneapolis. Now, give you this because this just got this piece of information before we came on. The Republicans in the state house have put forth a bill to go ahead and knock that off the table and put forth a policy, and try to find somewhere in the middle of what the drivers were making and what Minneapolis City Council wants them to make. But this bill would knock all cities' policies off going forward, including the one that just passed in Minneapolis, if that's able to be done. What are your thoughts on the raise and the thoughts of Lyft and Uber pulling out of the city if that was to be policy?
Shame on Lyft and Uber for pulling out because the amount of backlash that they're going to get for not wanting to pay their drivers is a small. What they should be paying is a small drop in the bucket to what's going to happen. The backlash from these policies and people seeing how shitty these companies are not wanting to pay their drivers. Everybody knows Lyft and Uber are always going to be a profitable company. I don't care what you pay the drivers because people need these services. You know, whether it's St. Patrick's Day drinking, whether it's, hey, I need a ride to the hotel. Hey, I need a ride to the airport. Hey, I need a ride down to the comedy club. I'm hanging out with my buddies for my fantasy night. I'm going to take an Uber or a Lyft, whatever. People use these things literally every hour of the day. And so for them to blatantly just be like, fuck y'all, we out and figure it out on your own, to me is a bad business decision. the amount of money that they're going to quote unquote lose from paying their drivers is nothing compared to the negative
But it's the
connotations that
precedent. It's the precedent though that was set. If they allow Minneapolis to say, yeah, you have to do this, and they say, okay, well, we guess we got to agree to do it. Then you're setting precedent and saying that every city can come across the table and do the same thing. And so you are
uh,
starting to talk about profits and things of that nature.
again, if more people are using your services because people are you know can work, I don't see them losing money. People are going to like it's Uber and Lyft is as essential as the bus line. Those things, as long as they aren't stealing people's money or selling their data or whatever, people are going to use them. And for them to pull out because they don't want to pay their drivers a living wage, to me, it's a bad business model.
Yeah, but here's the other thing, and this is something that companies always go to, and I'm not saying they go to because it's an excuse. They go to it because this is exactly what they do, and we've seen it. Let's say with fast food over the last couple of years, ever since you and I talked about this offline several times, ever since the minimum wage talk started happening there. But Fa- Facebook, Lyft and Uber have talked about, look, now you're asking for the rates to be pushed up now on the customers, because that is a true thing. If you think the money is coming out of the pockets of Uber and Lyft, if they had to pay more money to the drivers, you're kidding yourself. You as a customer are going to be paying more money. You're already upset, and we are already upset, even with the surge prices that happened around the St. Patty's Day, New Year's Eve, sporting events, concerts, so on and so forth. Imagine your regular rate just going up because you're going to have to cover that cost of the 15.75 that they are forcing them to pay to a driver.
I mean, it's the whole game of chicken. Who folds first, the consumer or the business? And I don't see people not using Uber and Lyft, regardless of what the drivers are paid or regardless of the rates going up. That's why to me, it's such an essential service. It's part, it's Facebook, it's Twitter. They're never going away. They might change forms, but until there's a new bank system where you can teleport to wherever you want to go by hopping in a chute, like people are going to take Uber and Lyft. So paying your drivers a little bit more, getting them insurance, like investing in your company, isn't that what we're supposed to be? Isn't that the whole point of doing all this, is to make it so that people can use the service, it runs well?
No, 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 that's not the whole point. The whole point is to make money. That's the whole point. The whole point is not to
What?
create something so that I can get you insurance and you can
How
live well and so on
how
and so forth.
how are they going to lose money by paying their drivers more?
What do you mean? Because they're not going. They're not going to lose any money. They're going to raise the rates.
Exactly.
They're going to raise the rates, and they're going to continue to make their money, and they're going to eat into the pockets of their consumer. That's what's going to happen if Lyft and Uber were to stay in Minneapolis and you force them to pay more money. We're going
I
to
don't have
pass it off.
Well, yes, that's true, and it's unfortunate that that's how we do business. But I don't have a problem with people making more money doing what they do. I
And
really
I'm gonna
don't.
and I'm gonna tell you what else you go to see. You go to see here in Phoenix. If you live in Arizona, in the Phoenix area specifically, we've seen, and I don't know if they're doing it in Indy or not, or wherever you are in the country, guys. Let me know. Facebook, fake ass book club is with us. What's up, ladies? How are you? Keith Robbins jumped in and says, "What's up, guys? On my break. What's good, Keith? Look, we have driverless cars that are cruising around now. I had a couple of friends who've been picked up by them when they hit up Uber, Lyft. I said, "What was that like?" They're like, "Oh my God, it was very creepy to have this car without a driver in it drive you and drop you off." You are going to force these companies to speed up what is already coming. I think you and I know. I was speaking with someone else about it. Maybe you sent it to me, or I sent it to you. Someone sent me a clip of a restaurant Chick-fil-A has put out now.
Hmm.
Chick-fil-A now has a one restaurant as of right now where you put your order in on your cell phone. You go to the restaurant, you just walk in, you say, "My name is so and so." They hand you your order, you turn around, you walk out. Done. There's no tables, There's no chairs. There's no menus up on the wall. You are literally just walking into a storefront where they're making Chick-fil-A meals, giving your name, and walking out with your shit. This is what you are forcing these companies to speed up to. If you think I'm going to give you, I got something for your ass. If you think you're going to force me to do anything for these workers of mine, I will figure out a way to get around this.
I don't disagree with you, and I just think it's a really, really, really shitty practice. But there, again, you're right. The bottom line is the bottom line, and whatever makes them money is what they're going to do. But we are the problem. We are the creators of our own demise. You know, because we want to save $3, we've given Amazon so much control of the market, and this is what it is. There's nobody to hold these people accountable anymore because you want to save $3 instead of going to the mom and pop stop. Sure, a mom and pop store down the street, you just order it online. I saved $3. I didn't have to get in the car, but it's like, yeah, but in the long run, you lose so much more.
Dion, I mean, this is progress. This is the way this, we don't get from,
Not all progress is good.
okay, well, but this is a part of it. There's depending on what you believe, whether we just walked up out of the sea, all right, and that's how man began, or whether you believe in Adam and Eve or whatever it is, we got from that starting point to this point through progress and this thing that we decided to name technology. This is the way it always has been. Things start to get pricier because we make more money. Things become easier because we want things to be easier. And this is just the way it goes. We have to adapt and we have to just overcome it. But these discussions will always be had because these are always the discussions that have been had.
Well, it's unfortunate. Like there is a point of no return. That once there's a select few choices, red or blue, when those are your only two options, I'm gonna hate to tell it to you guys, but the people who make those colors are gonna be in charge of everything, and it's just gonna be an illusion of choice. And we're already so that in that direction that there is no going back. But this whole idea that automating things to make it easier, it just screws your neighbor, which in turn is going to screw you once they see everything that you got in your crib that they no longer have because you didn't want to help them have a living wage. Like there is a point where all of this boils over. I don't know how far we are from that line, but I know we're ever approaching it. And so I understand you can't have every city paying their Uber and Lyft drivers $15, $16 an hour, whatever it is. But at some point, these companies are going to have to understand that the second they automate everything is when the crime is going to shoot up. It's like, if you think people aren't going to knock off that Chick-fil-A to go in there and just grab people's orders, like, you're just setting yourself up for a whole new set of problems.
Facebook user here says, I'm pretty sure something similar happened with DoorDash in Seattle, except they're still here. I'm not sure who
Courtney.
said Courtney. Courtney, are they having to pay Door? Did they actually pay DoorDash folks more money? Is that what they're doing? And DoorDash, I refuse to use. It is one of the biggest ripoffs. You want to talk about a company passing on all of the bill to you? DoorDash is towards the top of that fucking list for me. I'm gonna before I read the rest of these comments, I'm gonna read them, Bruce and Keith. As a conservative, I've never, and I'm not completely for regulation because again, I'm a conservative and I'm a capitalist. But if anything ever, and I don't even know how you even get it there, or what governing body would even be in charge of it. Maybe you have to invent fucking something else. I don't know. But if there is ever needed regulation, it is things like DoorDash. It is things like Lyft and Uber. I would say, and I've said that before. There needs to be something there because they are allowed to just gouge. Now, Biden is on this, and a lot of people are for it. Biden is on these junk fees, or going after these companies for all these fucking junk fees because these people can just say, this is a fee, this is a fee, this is a fee, and we're charging it, and you have to pay it, and there's no one there to protect you. So I do like Biden and his part of his administration, or his administration is going after that. So I would love to know if DoorDash is still a super popular thing, but I just refuse. I'll starve before I will order anything from DoorDash. The fact that a Chick-fil-A, just to stick with that, a Chick-fil-A meal that costs $12 to $15 will jump up to fucking 30, $35 if you order through DoorDash. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
I
Absolutely.
love how
Refuse. Refuse.
I love how you say you'd starve before you order DoorDash. I'm like, if you can afford to order DoorDash, you're not in danger of starving.
Well, I'm just saying, if I'm
No,
someplace
I
and I
know.
want to, I just won't do it. And the fact that you can go into the DoorDash menu and the prices of the food have already started out that they're higher on the DoorDash menu than they are if you go into the restaurant. Not to mention all the fees that come afterward. So there needs to be some type of regulation. This is where I would agree
It's
with you on this,
it's the
on that.
convenience of not having to leave your crib. I
I know
mean,
what I
that's
noticed, but there needs to be a limit on it.
but you notice how things that are supposed to be convenient are never convenient. Like, oh, all this food and magazines at the airport are so convenient for my travels, but they're marked up to the point where they're not convenient
No.
if you're not starving.
So
So they take advantage of, you're traveling and it's like, oh, you don't have anything. Let me show you all this overpriced garbage.
again, I'm
A
looking.
bag of a small bag of flaming hot Cheetos is like $5-6. Like, how?
Yeah,
You know,
again, I am I'm for business. All right, I'm for it, but whew, I anyway. Bruce Bolter says a lot of progressive policies are pushing for unionizing independent contractors and pushing them to be employees and not contractors. And you know what? Because I grew up with the union, I am pro union because I do think that we need something on both sides. I think the union, especially if we're going to talk about the big three, and I had this discussion last week with some folks who are retirees. When you're looking at the UAW, they got a little too big for their britches, and they were pushing the big three around for quite a few years until the big three had their opportunity to push back. I think that you need that. You need the corporate side, but you also do need some type of protection for the workers, and you need some type of protection there, so they just can't call you an independent contractor whenever they want to, and so on and so forth. So I do think we need to have that. I'm not for the union busting, if you will, when it comes to Amazon or Walmart.
Starbucks, Walmart,
Starbucks.
Target.
Yeah. I'm not for any of that. You need that because if you don't have that, you do push the workers around. But then you can't have the unions get so fucking balls deep that they think they can push the other side around. So I mean, you need to have something. Everyone needs to have a little leverage, I think, in that.
I mean, unions are supposed to just keep the corporation in check. They're not supposed to, dominate and take advantage, quote unquote, of the labor that they provide. I think that was one of the reasons why the railroad workers weren't allowed to strike. Remember that a few years ago, Biden was like, "Nah, yeah, I can't do that." But at the same time, it's like, well, somebody needs to get in here and clean up the mess that is being made by both sides of these parties. So I'm all for that type of regulation as well.
Yeah.
I remember when I worked at Target, the way they talked about unions, you would think you were spreading AIDS on them. People, oh, do you never don't talk about it. The unions are bad. Da, da, da. I'm like, you can tell working in retail, like Target, the differences between Target and Walmart were because I worked for both, much longer at Target than I did Walmart. But the differences between what Target cared about and what Walmart cared about were completely different.
In terms of what, give us a couple examples if you can.
So I worked for Walmart for about 3 months. The first month I worked there, they didn't even know I worked there. I would go in, clock in, go home, come back, clock out for lunch. I did this for about a month. But I was just because they didn't care. It was a big store. No one knew. It was a brand new store. Target, no, they kept track of everything. There was team meetings in the morning because I worked on the flow team, the overnight to early morning stock in the store and whatnot. They cared. They gave you reports and these are our goals. This is how long X, Y, and Z should take you. That type of thing. Walmart, they were just like, hey, you're here.
That's what it feels like today if you happen to go into a Walmart, boy. Just like motherfuckers just walking around. I'm like, oh, it drives me absolutely insane.
I was at Walmart the other day grocery shopping, and this poor Mexican lady, she just unfortunately had to be wearing Walmart's colors. She had a denim, not denim, but a navy like hoodie
Yeah, okay.
and the brown pants, and she was there shopping, and some old white guy, hey, can you tell me where the alcohol is? And she looked at him like, what the fuck are you talking to me? And she just walked by him. And I was like, she don't work here, sir, but I can help you. Because I was over there getting mouthwash, and I was like, it's down here. Oh, thank you, you're so helpful. I thought she worked here. I was like, I see why you made that mistake. I don't think you're racist, but still, you shouldn't have said that shit out.
I made a mistake of going into a Target wearing khakis and a red polo one time, and I said I will never make that mistake. I'm like, bro, I don't work here. All right, I just happened to be jumping in here to grab something because the wife wanted it. I'm just wearing this shit. But if I was gonna work someplace, it would be Target. I wouldn't mind a nice red polo
Yeah,
and
you say
some
that until you
khakis.
start working there.
I've never worked it either, so you're probably right about that. Let's see here. Keith Roberts says they even have grocery stores that you don't have to have a cashier present, and you just put stuff in the cart and it totals up your order. Yeah, we talked about that when that first came about, Keith. We talked about that Amazon was doing that. You just walked in, they already had your credit card on file, and you come in and go in, get your shit, and you just roll out and they just charge you for it without you ever having to step in the line. Bruce says a lot of grocery stores already have scan and go too. You use your phone to scan as you shop and then walk out. I'm tired of excessive fees for entertainment too. I'm not sure. I assume that's Courtney as well.
Roxy.
Roxy and Facebook user, and I'm with you on that too, Roxy. There's a lot of money being made in the middle of you and your entertainment. There's some companies
Ticketmaster.
right there in the middle, boy. They are just chalking it up. Facebook user says I won't use it because I think the people sneak bites of your food. I'm assuming that's Courtney and won't use
Yes.
DoorDash. So Courtney, I'm one of those people. I did when I would use it. I would check my food, and if that bag came to me and it was not taped closed, yeah, I'm not accepting this food. Just not. And I
Yeah,
got tired.
I've had some horror stories with DoorDashes and Uber Eats with things not being. Uber does this weird thing where if the store is out of it, they'll just pick something else and not even tell you, and then you get it, and you're like, oh yeah, they were out of that, so I
Yeah,
got you that. I'm like, no, if they're out, cancel the whole damn thing. Don't bring me what I didn't ask for.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Bruce Bolter says, I've worked for a union for 13 years and now as an independent contractor for 2.5. I have more freedom and make more now. I feel in the union we were taken advantage of a lot more. And I don't doubt that, Bruce, and that's why I'm saying there has to be a level balance between the two. You can't have the union in a situation where they think they can just gouge their workers, which I know a lot of people felt that over the years, and also think they can gouge the company as well. And there's not any real work being done on the for the workers that are part of your union. You're just not doing anything. You're just taking fees at this point. You're just taking dues to line your own
I think
pockets.
I think a lot of it too is with the overall leadership of people getting those positions in unions, and they're there for years, and it just becomes a money racket. They become just as corrupt as the people on the other
One
side
hundred
doing the
percent.
exact same thing.
One hundred
So there
percent.
definitely needs to be a term limit, if you will, on things like that.
Facebook user says, kind of in a rebuttal to Bruce. Bruce, I think it depends on the industry because I make more working for the state than I would in the community and mental health.
Courtney.
Courtney, okay. Thank you, Courtney, for sharing that. And then Keith Roberts here says, what are the fake fees for buying tickets? Keith, anything that says fees. So, so
You're
just in,
paying for the website hosting. You're paying for the advertising. You're paying like if you use Ticketmaster, those types. I mean, their fees rack up to a whole nother ticket when you're just trying to buy one. So
I was getting ready to
they
say,
definitely got to do something about that.
yeah, well, and I was going to say, Keith, I don't know if you've ever, for a major event, someone has hooked you up with tickets. You can get the tickets for free, but you're still going to pay these fucking fees. You are paying these fees regardless because there is money. That's
The transfer fee in and of itself sometimes it's just like
and it's much more than what you would. It's more. The fees are more than what it actually costs them to be charging you for it. You
oh
know.
yeah, it's the same thing with banks and overdraft fees and that type of stuff. You got a minimum balance, all this
Yeah.
crap. It's just another way for them to steal money.
Yeah, it's I mean, look, it's I get it. We all got to make money. We all got to have a business. I get it. But I disagree with the 1575. I disagree for a couple of different reasons. But one of the things is all they're going to do is push that cost onto the consumer, and then the consumers are going to be complaining about it, and then you get into a whole nother thing. The fact that these politicians do not see past their nose and are always just angling for another reason to show why they should have their jobs. The fact that you would sit here and tell your constituents, who the majority of them are not Uber drivers, that is not the majority of your constituency. Great, you want to do something nice for them, but what do you do with the majority of the people who live in that city who are not Uber drivers and who need that? And then you want to sit here and come out and say that we have other companies that say that they're ready to come in and take this load. What third company is as big as Lyft and Uber and can come in and do this job and are ready to go and hit the ground running? I'll wait all day long for you to give me a name. You don't have one. They only have 93 cab drivers in the city of Minneapolis. That's not nearly enough. So, the reason that Lyft and Uber came about was because of the damn cab companies. I don't know if people remember this, but it used to take forever waiting for a cab to show up for you if you did have to call a cab. And now we're to the point now, if you click on your app to get a Lyft or an Uber, and that motherfucker is more than 8 minutes away, we're bitching about that. I gotta wait 8 minutes for the Lyft or Uber, and you can actually see him turn by turn getting to you, and you're still pissed off. Yeah, go back to the cab driving days and go ahead and wait to 30, 45 minutes to an hour, wait for that cab to show up to pick you up. I can't wait for this. You
I,
guess the number one city I won't be visiting if this stands true, if this holds true. That would be Minneapolis, and neither will anything else like any important sporting events either.
I can't rebut that. I agree with you. It will cost them major sporting events if they lose Uber and Lyft because 93 cab drivers is nowhere near enough, especially in a cold city where half they built all these sky bridges because people don't want to be outside. It's unfortunate that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because the payment for convenience, it adds up, and at a point to where there is a moment in time where some things are better off you doing yourself. Like all these self checkouts is a prime example. Just pay the damn cashier. I don't want to bag my fucking groceries. It's not saving me any money or time. It takes me as long, if not longer, than it does the person who works here. And where's the savings? My groceries still cost more now than they ever did. So I don't see it's not more convenient to go shopping in a store. It's not more convenient to bag it up myself. And I'm not one of those people who steal, so I don't go, oops, I forgot to scan that. So I'm not really saving myself anything.
Well, frankly, I think it would be very embarrassing to get arrested at your Walmart because you were trying to steal a tube of toothpaste. So I just think, like, what do you think? You just walk out there in handcuffs for some toothpaste or some donuts or whatever the hell you decide you're going to steal. I will only bag normally if I'm just in that much of a hurry. There's some times where the lines are long as hell, but on just pure stubbornness, I will not go over here and bag my own shit. I will stand in this line and wait for you to bag your shit, and I will bitch and complain to someone in power around here. Like, can you speed this up? Did you think that this is the perfect time to put the person that you have who likes to talk to everybody and find out all their backstories like it's a fucking BET movie? That's the person who should be on the register. Or maybe you should put the person who's speedy on the fucking register or open up some more. Like, I have pulled someone aside and complained enough to get another register or two open. I am put me in charge of that if you want to put me in charge of anything in the union. I will get that shit moving a little bit quicker before I stand over here and bag my own shit. I'm upper crust.
Peppermint Peppermint Cocoa Sydney,
All,
aka the Walmart Karen.
all of you, All of you toaster shavings, get your ass moving. I need my shit back. Get up out of here. Let's get this thing going. Man. I got shit to do. I'm not bagging these groceries.
I think that's a perfect spot to end this show.
That's only because you don't feel well today, motherfucker.
Nah, yeah, my head is killing me. I have such a killer headache.
Yeah. You look at the trooper that Dion is. We're going to give Dion something that he normally doesn't get on this show because he came on. He was a real trooper. Right? Yeah, he normally does not earn that, but today he did, and he even earned this. It does not happen often. Those are normally sounds reserved for me and my squad because we earn that often, Dion. But we're gonna let you borrow that for this show, and don't mistake our kindness for weakness. Next time we'll be ready to step on your neck next week.
Yeah, I appreciate all the sentimentalities of your button hoarding.
I'm sorry, my what now? My button hoarding? How am I hoarding
Yeah,
the buttons?
because you're in charge of the buttons and when they get pressed, so you hoard it for you and your constituents, your upper crust folk, as you call them.
Mary says, sound the horn and make his headache worse. Well, Mary, yeah,
Yeah.
you caught on to what I was doing. So, so Bruce, Bruce says it used to be a max of 3 people in line when I worked in grocery and not anymore. Yeah, that is a long time ago because now they will not give a shit. Most Keith says most Walmarts have self checkouts than actual people checking out. You know the crazy thing, Keith, and we will go in a second, but I do want to say this though. The companies have started to kind of catch on that they are spending more money, and this is why Costco hasn't done it in mass. They have figured out it costs them more money to have those self checkouts because of all the things that happen to them and the cost of repairing them and things of that, as opposed to just hiring actual human beings and paying them to just be a cashier. There's less cost in doing that than having those those self checkouts.
There becomes a point of saturation to where it just it becomes. But yeah, I think on paper sometimes this is a good idea, but in practice and in reality, it's like it was fine the way it was. We don't need to change it.
All right, folks. Well, we're gonna get out of here. Dion has a headache. Poor baby. I mean, I see you guys over there just weeping for him right now.
Just wrap up the show, man. You don't got to do that. Don't be that guy.
No, don't be that guy. Scan and Go at Sam's Club is the best thing ever. All right, guys. Thank you guys very much. Everyone wish Dion, a fond farewell to him and his headache. We hope things ease up for you, Dion. I know you got a heavy load you're carrying over there, brother. Just take it easy.
I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Your sarcasm is duly noted, Sydney. I think the light is making it worse. Like it's getting bad. But I stuck it out and I gave you the business as I normally do. Us underground, non upper crust, toaster shaking people, as you call us.
All right, folks. Well, on that note, you guys all have yourselves a great week. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. People out here saying, "Take care, Dion." No one ever says that for me when I don't feel well. But you know why?
Thank you, Roxy.
Because I don't say shit. I just come on and I produce. Everyone have yourselves a great week. We're out of here.
Remember that time you had Taco Bell?
The show's over.